Upanishads were basically composed in oral tradition. There is one Allah Upanishad. It's written in Sanskrit. The word Upanishad attracted people from all religions because it is about knowledge. See how our Upanishads traveled all over the world. I mean, not only about this Christianity and Islam, but even our own Upanishads, they have traveled everywhere. When you start understanding the basic concepts, I mean, I'm not even talking about Atma. See, for example, this Karma Siddhanta. If I believe in that, if I read and understand that, then I would see to it that I must do good things in this life. My morality comes directly from that Karma Siddhanta. It is not that I read a couple of Upanishads and suddenly I become a very quiet person. No, it is not so. Because that is the basic reality. That is the root philosophy of every human being.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of our Heritage India show. Once again, we have Dr. Sucheta Paranjape, but this time with the Upanishads. Before
Right.
we start, I'd just like to tell everybody I'm Manjiri Khandekar, founder, CEO of the Heritage India Communications Private Limited, and editor in chief of Heritage India magazine. We've been striving to create awareness about India's heritage since 2007 through multiple media. Now it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Paranjpe. Suprabhat Sucheta Tai.
Suprabhat. Namo Namaha.
Yeah. And although most of our viewers are well versed with who you are, there might be some new people joining in. So it's my honor and pleasure to introduce you once again. So Dr. Sucheta Paranjpe is a distinguished scholar of Sanskrit and Vedic studies, a national merit scholar who ranked in the SSC merit list with 2 gold medals and multiple prizes. She chose to pursue arts to follow her lifelong goal of learning and teaching Sanskrit. She has topped the Savitribai Phule Pune University in both her bachelor's and master's degrees and later completed her PhD in Vedic studies. She served as professor of Sanskrit and Indology at Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapit. Dr. Paranjpe has also been associated with the prestigious Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, where she contributed to the Mahabharat project and was an Infosys Fellow. Her international academic career includes teaching Sanskrit at the Leipzig University in Germany and Macalester College in the United States. She has also served as the India Director for the Associated Colleges of Midwest in Chicago. Dr. Parajpe has authored several research papers, edited 2 books, written 3 books, and delivered numerous talks on Sanskrit across platforms including Akashvani. Among many recognitions, she was honored as Fellow of the Ferguson College. She humbly contributes all her works to Guru Kripa, the blessings of her teachers. Welcome, Dr. Sucheta Paranjpe, once again to the Heritage India.
I would just say one thing. You
Yeah,
forgot one very important point while introducing me. And
please
that
go
point
ahead.
is I am a teacher of Sanskrit is okay, but I humbly admit and I want you to know that I am still a student of Sanskrit. It's such a vast thing, that till the end of
Never.
your life, you keep on learning and reading and trying to understand. And that is what gives me pleasure.
So let's start with the first question then. The basic. What are the Upanishads and who composed them?
Okay. The first and most important thing is I think last time I took an overview of Vedic literature as such. And there are Samhitas, Brahmanas, nothing to do with the caste, but Brahman, the mantra, Aranyaka, and Upanishads. I mentioned that. And Upanishads are called Vedanta. Okay? Anta is end. And even in English, the word end many times means the last thing or something of the sort, but the goal which you have in front of you, right? So, similarly, Vedanta Upanishads also is the goal of the entire Vedic studies. And why so? You will come to know that when we talk more about it. So, what are Upanishads? See, the thing is, during Samhita, Brahmana, and all that period, I told you that a lot of things, in fact, the entire social, cultural, and philosophical structure moved around what we call yajna, right? If you want this, perform this yajna. If you want that, do this yajna, offer this ahuti, that is oblation. And so everybody was kind of carried away by that. So much so that people would say, oh, you don't have a son? Perform Putra Kameshti. This is what Dasharatha did in Ramayana also. So it is Putra Kama Ishti. Ishti is a small yajna. When you have the Kama, that is desire for son. So for everything, this was their answer. Yajna. And not everybody likes yajna, naturally. I mean, not everybody likes going to movies. Not everybody likes to watch drama or plays on the theater. So some people say, oh, this is not right. They say that if you perform Jyotishtoma Yajna, you will go to Swarga. You will attain heaven after death. But it's impossible because there is no body. They cremate our body, which is run down to ashes. Now, who will go to heaven? And then somebody would say, oh, come on, it's your body which is cremated, but there is a spirit which has escaped your body, and that's why you are dead. And that spirit is called Atman, and that goes to heaven. So just see how from ritual you are gradually, this didn't happen in one sentence or overnight, right? It was a
Right.
gradual process, naturally. And so, like I always say, this is from ritual to spiritual. And the word Atman is so beautiful, even in German, the verb Atman means to breathe.
Oh, I
And
see.
when Atman leaves your body, you stop breathing, right? So this idea was dear to them. Then they asked, how is Atman described? And can I see it or can I feel it or something of the sort? And then started the discourses about Atman. We will come to that later, but first I will just tell you how Upanishads were composed, because you also want to know who composed them,
Yeah.
right? Upanishads were basically composed in oral tradition. In the sense, they were not written, they were not printed, of course. They were not written also. And what typically happened was a guru will sit on the platform, mostly in the lap of nature, like a platform under a big tree or something of the sort. And the students, they would sit near him, but under that level. The guru's level is always higher up.
Yeah.
Even today, what happens in a classroom in colleges or universities? There is a platform for the teacher, right? So, similarly, and these were discourses. These are not lectures, right? Remember that. These are discourses held for those students who wanted to know more about something which is beyond yajna, beyond everything which is physical. And what do we call everything which is beyond physical? Do you know? Metaphysical.
Yeah.
Meta in Latin means beyond. So, whatever is beyond physical, they wanted to know about it. This is exactly what Rabindranath Tagore followed as a pattern for his classes in Shanti Niketan. So, now the student, try to visualize this. Okay, the students are sitting below, the teacher is up on a higher platform, the students are near him, Upa is near. Okay. Ni is below and sada is to sit. So this clearly tells you the word Upanishad, because of some rules, so changes to sure. That is fine. But Upanishad is what this means. And of course, later on, when all this, they call it Rahasya Maya Jnana, esoteric knowledge. When this esoteric knowledge was collected and wrote down by some teacher or other, that text also was called Upanishad. So remember, first it was only the method of imparting knowledge to the students, and now it is the text itself which got to get to be called Upanishad. That is how Upanishads came into being. But I would also like you to know how and why this happened. See, when there is too much of anything in any society, for example, too much of screen time for small children, then there is a reaction. Similarly, there was too much of ritual, yajna, oblations, and all those things. So there was a reaction. And Mr. Newton has told us that for every action, there is a reaction which is equal in force but opposite in direction. Exactly, this is what is seen in Upanishads, that this is a reaction to the rituals, and they are going not exactly far away from rituals, but they are going in different direction. In our tradition, rituals are called karma kanda. We know that word.
Yeah.
And Upanishads will be called jnana kanda. And this was a social evolution. It was not only academic evolution. Not only, I'm purposely saying it as evolution, because evolution takes place gradually. You will be surprised. People are curious these days, especially, because they think that, oh, Sanskrit, Vedas, Upanishads, that's only the monopoly of Brahmins by caste, I mean, which is not so. In Vedic literature, we don't ever see that. Even in Rigveda, there are many suktas composed by non Brahmins. Nobody cared in which family you are born. And even in Upanishads, in fact, most important principles or philosophy in Upanishad is told not by Brahmins but by Kshatriya.
Okay.
Remember this. And secondly, there is also a great king called Janashruti Pautrayana, but then he got to know the Samvarga Vidya from a person named Raikva, who was a Shudra. So see, knowledge has no limits.
And they
Anybody
accepted
can
it.
come. Yeah. This is very important for us, all of us to know today, especially, when people have grudge against certain community. Knowledge doesn't hold this.
Correct.
Anyway, and secondly, all this time yajnas were performed by men. The Yajamana Patni, and there were other women who were there, but they had secondary roles to play. Not so when it comes to knowledge, Manjari, we
Yeah.
all know that women now know no limits at all, right? In fact, I would say one more thing. The very word Upanishad is grammatically a feminine word.
Really?
Really.
Yeah.
And not only that, forget about Upanishad. All the words which mean intelligence in Sanskrit, buddhi, mati, prajna, panda, whatever you say, they are all feminine. Not a single word in masculine. What I'm trying to say you is
Wow, yeah.
somehow it's fun point, but something worth noting.
Yeah,
So
very interesting. Very fascinating.
it is. And in Upanishads, we have female philosophers. You all know the names Gargi, Maitreyi, Sulabha Brahmavadini. Given a chance and some time, we might also talk about them. But anyway, even women are playing a role in this Jnana Kanda. Forget about men and women. They are at least adult. They can think, they can understand, they can
Yeah.
speak, and all. There are young boys. And I really wonder, entire Kathopanishad is based on the story of Nachiketa, who is only 8 years old.
Wow.
Just imagine. And he has this curiosity to know about what happens after death at age 8. Or there is Satyakama Jabala, who also goes to his guru. He doesn't even know the name of his father. He said, doesn't matter, but I want to study. and later on he became a great Rishi. So, from men to women, from adults to small
Children.
children, and most importantly, from only Brahmins to all the Varnas, Upanishads have a place, a warm welcome for everybody who is interested in philosophy.
Yeah,
Right?
irrespective of gender, age, caste,
Yeah,
and
right.
everything. Yeah.
Nowadays, you have to write that, on the in front of a temple or hotels, irrespective of gender, this, that, you are admitted.
Yeah.
But they did not need this at all. And by the way, I said for anybody who is interested in philosophy, what is philosophy? We learn philosophy, we get our doctorates, post graduation in philosophy. But I'll tell you a funny story which happened to me when I completed my MA, and I wanted to do PhD, but I went and told my advisor, "Sir, I want to do PhD, but I don't want to do PhD because it is Doctor of Philosophy. I want to do something in Sanskrit." Then he looked at me like, "What a poor girl this is. She doesn't even know what she is doing." But at least I thought about PhD. It is Doctor of Philosophy. Philo is knowledge. Sophia is, sorry, Philo is love. Sophia is the goddess of knowledge. In Mumbai you have Sophia College and all
Yes.
that.
I
So
studied there.
Phila, you studied there. Oh,
Yes.
great. So you know the meaning. So philosophy means love for knowledge. And this is what you see in Upanishads, and that is their greatest, I would say, value. Okay?
I hope everybody who's done a doctorate at least knows
I
the
know, I
basic
know.
meaning of
Yeah.
this.
I mean, even if,
And
go ahead.
no, actually you've answered a couple of my questions which were lined up as to why was the need for the Upanishads and how are they different from the Vedas. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on the differences?
One more thing. They are not different from Vedas. What by Vedas, what common people mean is Veda Samhitas, like Rig Veda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, etc. But I told you that Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishad, all these four together, they form the cluster of Vedic literature, Vedic Vangmaya, okay, as we call it. And guess why Vangmaya? Vak is speech. They were written down, the disciples just remembered. Their memory was fantastic. And so it is Vangmaya, literature. Literature has a different meaning, I mean, etymologically, but Vangmaya, I like this word a lot. It
Yeah,
says a lot.
so beautiful. Yeah.
It is,
Hmm.
and meaningful.
So, how many Upanishads are there? People often say 108 Upanishads, but only a few are frequently discussed, which are considered to be the principal Upanishads also, and why?
Okay. For this, we take help of a text called Mauktiko Upanishad. It gives that list of 108 Upanishads. Okay. I will come to that, but out of these, only 10 Upanishads are considered to be the what it calls it is Mukhya Upanishad, the principal Upanishads. And which are they? I will just give you an enumeration because I might be giving references here and there. Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Aitareya, Taittiriya, Chandogya, and the best of all, Bruhadaranyaka Upanishad. Okay, why are these called the Mukhya Upanishads? The reason is very simple. In 8th century, Adi Shankaracharya, and it was Adi Shankaracharya who wrote a bhashya, a commentary on only these 10 Upanishads, which means he must have compared, and he must have realized that these are the best ones. And so the Upanishads on which we have Shankara's commentary are called Mukhya Upanishads.
Okay.
Okay, but then there are many Upanishads. Later on, I mean, Upanishad, to be very frank, became anonymous with Rahasya Jnana. I told you, a great knowledge, right? Esoteric knowledge, as they would use. Now, what happened is, see, people were not only thinking of Yajna or Atman, they were also thinking of many other scientific things also. Somebody was thinking of Mercury. It is Mercury which gave birth to chemistry in the Western world also and to us also. In Sanskrit, the word for Mercury is rasa, okay, because that is liquid.
Yes.
That is the only metal which is liquid. So people were interested in that. And somebody who wrote about Mercury, that text is called Rasopadishad.
Oh, I see. So,
Huh?
so
And so,
fascinating. Yeah.
it is fascinating. And secondly, there was somebody he was a medical person and he wanted to find out how exactly the embryo grows in a mother's womb. Okay. Now just try to imagine in those days when they don't have x-rays and sonographies, but these people wanted to know. So he tried something, he wrote something, and what is it called? Garbha Upanishad, Garbhopanishad. Okay. So these are not spiritual or philosophical. But just see how Upanishad, the word is liked by the entire society. And everybody wants to say, oh, here is my Upanishad, here is my Upanishad. So much so that when at the time of Puranas, there were sects, Shakta, Vaishnava, then Shaiva, Ganapatya, everybody has an Upanishad. Now, what do you mean by Upanishads? I mean, if you edit them, you would realize that they are entirely sectarian in nature. For example, Shaiva would only talk about Shiva, how great he was, this puja should be done and all. That is not a real Upanishad in the sense of what I told you about this 10 Upanishads. Forget about this. There is one Upanishad called 108 is what Mukti Upanishad tells you. Nowadays, you can't even count how many Upanishads are there
Yeah, they are like
because
textbooks for every topic under
yeah,
the
I
sun.
mean,
Yeah.
Khandopa, Khandopa, which is a god of shepherds near Pune. Hmm? There is an
Jayapuri.
Upanishad about him. Now, what do you mean by Upanishad about him? That there is somebody who wrote about his greatness and the method of his worship. Forget about that. There is one Allopanishad. Can
Oh,
you? Huh?
that
It
is
is available.
amazing.
It is amazing. It's written in Sanskrit. So just
About
imagine
Allah.
the word Upanishad attracted people from all religions because it is about knowledge. It is
Correct.
no religion's monopoly. And that is why we must realize. You must have learned a little bit of Christianity. And then which is the first sermon which Christ gave? It is called Sermon on the Mountain. Remember? And that Sermon on the Mountain has been translated into Sanskrit. A mountain is called Shaila. It is made of Shila, that is big boulders. Okay? So Shaila is a mountain. Sermon on the Mountain, when it was translated into Sanskrit and it needed a name, a label, they call it
Everything.
Shailopanishad.
Yeah,
Isn't it amazing? I mean, just see
absolutely.
how
Yeah,
our Upanishads traveled all over the world. I mean, not only about this Christianity and Islam, but even our own Upanishads, they have traveled everywhere.
yeah. I think we've, through all the ancient Indian literature, we have reinforced that knowledge is nobody's monopoly, and that is an absolute basic human right.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah. So, is there some core philosophy of these 10 main Upanishads?
Yes, of course there is. But before that, if you don't mind, I
Yeah,
would like to say something about the style of Upanishads, why they became so popular. There is no dearth of text and big, huge books on philosophy. Then why is it that Upanishads are the only ones which traveled world over? Or even in India itself, everybody wants to read or know about Upanishads. The thing is, It's three, there are three things which Upanishads do. First of all, I told you, the teacher talks to the students, right?
Yeah.
Every time we talk, like you and me, we are talking right now, our language is simple. If I want to write an article about all this, my language would be very different, right? And so it will be scholarly with heavy words and whatnot. So the style and the language is very simple for anybody to understand. So simple. Like I told you, the teacher is talking to the students. So sometimes there are in printed books. Now we have printed books. There are sentences like for a particular thing, you can take either this much grain or that much grain. And these are the words. Iyatirva Iyotirvadhana. So
Mm.
just imagine how nobody thought of translating that body movement into words. Secondly, there are question answers. And question answers is one thing which is very, very, what should I say, at the heart of Indian literature and philosophy also. Even in Rigveda, we have questions. In the Rigveda, there is a sukta which has riddles. Like, who is that god which carries a vajra and then you are supposed to say Indra. Simple ones, but questions. And why do we have questions? Simply because that kind of enkindles your mind, right? Enkindling of the young minds, Abdul Kalam's book and all that. Even when you watch this, what is it called? KBC. Hmm? What happens is if the family is sitting together, everybody wants to know, hey, which is the widest river in the world? Is it Amazon? Is it Ganga? Mississippi? So questions always are followed by answers.
Yes, it's
And
a very participative way of
correct.
learning. Yeah.
Yeah, in
So
today's
you're
jargon,
involved, you're engaged. It's not just somebody
yeah,
giving the discourse. Yeah.
no, not only that, in today's world, I would say it is interactive,
Yes.
right? It is interactive learning, and that makes it more interesting and
And more powerful also.
more powerful. But the best thing, Manjari, the best thing about Upanishads is all the philosophy comes through stories. You will not believe this, but everything is woven in stories. What is Gita? Gita is not Upanishad, but what is
Yes.
Gita? First, we have the story. Oh, there is a war, and then Krishna brings Arjuna, and that has nothing to do with philosophy. But then you get involved. Why did Arjuna refuse? Oh, then what did Krishna say? And this is how we move ahead. Stories, whether you are a young child or an adult or a philosopher yourself, they are still attractive. And that is why Upanishads became very interesting. I told you about Kathopanishad, where this small little child, Nachiketas, he wants to learn. I'll just, in 2 minutes, I will give you the story. I mean, how
Okay.
the story matters. Hmm? So, his father, Vajashravas, Nachiket's father, he performed a yajna and he was busy with giving dakshina and whatnot. And this child, you know how children are. They are always there. But why did you do this? And who is going to take this? I mean, these kind of questions that you gave away so many cows. Whom will you give me to? And the father, he asked this question a couple of times. Ultimately, the father got bored and he said, okay, I'll give you to death. Doesn't mean he wanted him to die. But even today in Indian languages, I can use Marathi if you don't mind. And we would say, the ajis, especially the grandmothers would say, Mar milya. Okay? This is out of great love. Will you believe me? And so you won't.
Yeah.
In Konkan, if you see, they say it with love, Melia. Melia is the dead one. So anyway, forget about that. But Nachiketa goes to Yama and he asks him question. He said, oh, you're the best one because you're the god of death. So tell me what happens to the Atman after people die. Because you are the one who would know the answer. Sitting on the earth, I would never know what happens. So this story, then Yama gives him some answer. Then he asks a question, Prashna. Like I said, there are questions. So, questions and answers. And if the student is listening carefully, believe me, the teacher always welcomes questions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I realized then that, oh, this person was listening to me and this
Correct.
person was paying attention. Not only that, he has started thinking about it, and that's why he has doubts. There is one Upanishad. The name itself is called Prashnopanishad. There is
Okay.
one teacher and six postgraduate students or postdoctoral probably doing their research. And every adhyaya, every chapter, one student asks a question and the guru elaborates. So there are always stories, and that is why they become beautiful.
Yeah. More attention also.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So, can I draw your attention back to the question? But
Oh,
I
yes.
will, I will just merge it with my next question. So, many modern readers compare Indian philosophy with Western schools like Stoicism and existentialism. How do the Upanishads differ from, or perhaps go deeper than these philosophical traditions? So, would that
Okay.
explain the core philosophy of?
According to me, nothing should be compared.
Yeah.
No two persons or no two philosophies or things should be ever compared. They are like apples and oranges. You know that. Stoicism and all, these are modern schools. I mean, compared to our Upanishads, these are modern schools of philosophy. And they tell you about Stoicism. I mean, yes, I have read even Western philosophy like Kant and everybody else, Descartes. But what Indian philosophy or what Upanishads do is they not only show you the problems in life, which Stoicism does, but they give a solution to that. And that is where Upanishads differ. And that is why Upanishads are liked by everybody. Because there is a solution offered. I'll give you an example and you will realize we know I mean, maybe I will first go to the philosophy, the core philosophy of Upanishads, and then I come to the solution part. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So, like I told you, Atman was the first concept, right? It is the spirit which leaves your body, and so you are dead. Now, where does Atman come from? We don't know. And where did it go after death,
Hmm.
right? And then they realize that there has to be some spirit which has created this entire universe. And not only that, that spirit and Atman must be same, right? Otherwise, it is impossible to, I mean, how many Atmans can you create? So it is the same, it is only the expression which is different. Okay? This is called Advaita Vedanta. A is negation, Dvaita, dichotomy, Vedanta is philosophy, Upanishadic philosophy. That your Atman and the creating principle, Brahman, is same, is exactly what Advaita tells you. Okay, so it also tells you the moment you take help, I mean, the moment you accept that there is something called Atman, you it's a corollary, that you have to accept Punarjanma
Yeah.
because the Atman will get another body, right? And if it gets Punarjanma, what kind of rebirth will it get into? How will that? I mean, I always feel, why is it that some souls are born in Ethiopia? Those small children who can't even eat, drink, walk, anything. I feel sorry for them. But that is dependent on your karma. If in this world, in this birth, I would say, you have done good karma, punya, then next birth will be good. If you haven't, then next birth will not be good. So now just see this. It's a circle. It's a cycle. It is janma, karma, mrityu, punarjanma, again. So these are not different philosophies. It is the same philosophy that you, according to your karma, you get punarjanma, and in that punarjanma you do good jobs and you will get good punarjanma, rebirth again. Now I'll tell you why this is called a solution, according to me. I have an American friend. I'm sorry to say, but I had an American friend. And she had some kind of very bad cancer, terminally ill. And she asked me, healthy girl, she asked me, Sucheta, why? And this is a question which haunts the minds of many people who are not in a good health. Why me? And then she was not from philosophic background. And I told her the karma siddhanta, as we call it. And after 2, 3 sessions with her, this is not counseling. This is just telling her what my Upanishad taught me. I passed it on to her. And she said, oh, you know something? It has helped me to accept my disease. And that was something, which made me like, oh, my Upanishads are helping people even today. Right? I mean, of course, those people would have something like it is in your genes and there is a genetic whatever, whatever. But this kind of philosophy gives you mental peace and psychological peace also. And that is why our philosophy doesn't only aim at Atman and Brahman, it also aims at your present day life. And that is why it is relevant today. This American friend of mine, she passed away only 3 years back. So it helped her. And it is helping many people. Not only her, but many people, right? In our languages, we have phrases like, oh, you got this because this is what your previous birth, you must have done something wrong. And so you are reaping the fruits of that today. We keep saying all this.
But is this what the Upanishads tell us? That is the core philosophy.
Yeah. Core philosophy is Atman and Brahman are same.
Okay.
Advaita. That is
Yeah.
the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, it is Janma. The moment you say Janma, it becomes Atman. Okay. Atman and then good karma. Now, this karma, the idea of karma, we don't even have to translate it. It's a global word now. Good karma. So after Mrityu,
Yeah.
you get another, Punarjanma, and again you have Atman in some other body. In fact, there is one more thing in Upanishadic philosophy. They say Atman is same, right? Your Atman, my Atman is same. It's not different. Then why are we two different individuals? And the word given, and which is philosophically important, is Nama Rupa. You look different. Your name is different. Otherwise, you have two hands, I have two hands, and everything. Physically, we are the same, but internally we are the same. Even physically, we are similar, but Atman is also same. We just have these distinctive names and distinctive forms. That's about
Manifestation.
all. Manifestation. There
Yeah.
are many philosophies, about which we can talk, but
Endlessly. Yeah.
endlessly.
Yeah. No, so I'd like to move on to the next question. I mean, the Upanishads encouraged and Indian thinking has been developed like that about questioning,
Yeah.
everything. Do you think we've forgotten this questioning today that we just blindly accept things?
Yeah, right. Especially today in the world of screens, as I call it,
Yeah.
whichever screen you are using, you don't think. My granddaughter, if I ask her the meaning of, so what is pathology?
Hmm.
She said, 1 minute. And immediately she will find it out from the Google. But when you question what is pathology, logy is science, pathos is body, whatever and then you look up at least a dictionary, along with pathology, so many other words. But people have stopped thinking. People are, they want everything instant. Instant coffee, instant food, instant knowledge also. I don't call it knowledge. I would call it instant information. And actually, that is true because when people say, I work in IT, I really wonder whether they know what IT is. It is information technology. After IT, whatever you do, your PhD in IT, you only are expert in information. You don't get wisdom, which Upanishads give. And that is the main difference. So, yes, we are forgetting to ask questions. If you ask questions like, sorry, I'm not going to criticize anyone, but if you ask a question to yourself, is it right to bake a cake for my grandchild and ask him to blow the candle? Is it right according to my culture? If you ask this question, you know how worthless the whole thing is, right? But we forget. We don't ask questions. You should. In fact, that's why younger children, they come up with questions, right? And don't say, oh, don't ask, but entertain them. It is their curiosity. It is their what we call quest or jignasa in Sanskrit. That
Yeah,
is
because their
jnana.
brains are not yet stuffed with
Right.
information.
They are, yeah, there is no information there, which is so good. And they want to know, they want to understand, and so help them. In some way, we should all be like those children, curious, curious children.
In today's age of anxiety, depression, distraction, and constant stimulation, how can the teachings of the Upanishads help, and especially the younger generation?
Yeah. See, the thing is, it is not that I read a couple of Upanishads and suddenly I become a very quiet person. No, it is not so. But when you start understanding the basic concepts, I mean, I'm not even talking about Atma. See, for example, this Karma Siddhanta. If I believe in that, if I read and understand that, then I would say to it that I must do good things in this life. My morality comes directly from that Karma Siddhanta. Because else I would have to face a worse rebirth. So, small things which you learn, and remember one thing, even if I give you the examples of Yajnavalkya, Ajatashatru, and so many other Sanskrit scholars who come from Upanishads, people are not convinced. But if I tell you that Einstein had a copy of Gita and Indian philosophy on his table, and if I tell you that Oppenheimer, the great physicist, in fact, nuclear physicist, when he had learned Sanskrit, he had learned Gita, he understood Gita, not by translations, he could read it himself. And when the first nuclear blast happened, it was only a test, you know that. And the journalist came to him, oh, so what is your reaction? And his reaction was a verse from Gita, Divi
Well,
Surya Sahasrasya. Yes, he said Gita. He didn't say Gita or anything. He just said that verse. And he said, just as if there are thousand suns in the sky at the same time, that much light I have seen today. This comes from Gita. And when he realized what happened in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, that time also he said something from Gita, Aham sarva haro mrityu. I am responsible for all this death. Why did he say that? Why didn't he quote? He was German. Why didn't he quote any German philosophy? Why not English? Why not Latin? He quoted Sanskrit. Why? Because that is the basic reality. That is the root philosophy of every human being. I would advise our listeners or nowadays, there is a trilogy by one Dr. Weiss, Weise, an American scientist, who takes you into PLR, past life regression. Read those books, and he tells you nothing different from what Upanishads tell you. He talks about Atman, he calls them spirit or masters, but this philosophy has been gradually spread all over, and not only spread, accepted and followed. So, even our young people, our children, our students, even our adults, should try to understand this philosophy and find peace, because the ultimate aim or goal of our life is not my bank balance. That doesn't buy any happiness for me. It is, you would realize, it is peace. And what we always say at the end of any philosophy, or even a very small shloka, I would say, we say, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. If that is your goal, then it is only Upanishads will help you. Only Upanishads.
Yeah, great. So I just want to reinforce that Upanishads are not just spiritual texts, but they are the basis, in fact, of our existence and very,
They
very
are.
relevant to uh, life today.
Yeah. We talk about counseling these days.
Yeah, exactly.
But Upanishads, Gita, they all do counseling for you. They make you understand yourself. That is what, in fact, the word for Atman is English, is what? Self, right? They make you understand self in every which way possible. And therefore, no comparison of Upanishads with any philosophy.
If you had to summarize the essence of the Upanishads in one idea for young Indians today, would it be? You've already summarized it in many different ways.
Yeah, I know, but I'll still say that unless and until you know the roots of your heritage, unless and until, I'm not talking about philosophy also, read the stories in Upanishads. Read the story of Satyakama Jabala, story of Katha, that is Nachiketa. Read the story of Gargi and Maitreyi and Yajnavalkya. If you read those stories, gradually you will get attracted to this. But at this level, for the first time, if you are reading it, read only the stories. And then you would never know when you are kind of, gone and drowned into that vortex of philosophy. It's amazing feeling. Believe me, it is amazing. It's not only academic. That is what I want to focus on. Upanishadic philosophy is not only academic philosophy, it is a practical philosophy. It is something which you can live, which you can practice, and you can follow. So please do that. That's, just imagine if some philosophical texts survive for more than 2000 years and are still read, studied, listened to, and followed. Aren't they great? Isn't that itself a great sign that they are amazing philosophical books? So read about Upanishads. This is my, what should I say, advice to everybody. You don't have to read Sanskrit. There are various books, especially our Gita Press, Gorakhpur, has published amazing Vedic text with only translation, text and translation. You read that. You don't have to understand Sanskrit. You can read the Hindi or English or Gujarati, Bengali, American, Chinese. It is translated in almost all the languages of the world.
And they are available everywhere.
It is available.
Yeah.
And a very important tip, it's very cheap. They have seen to it that the books are cheap, so they can,
Accessible.
yeah, they are accessible and people can afford. People can afford. Instead of buying a pizza, you can buy maybe 10 such books, which
Yeah.
will last forever in your life.
I think we need a marketing tagline like
Oh, yes, we do.
discover the rahasya of life, of
But
existence.
then that is what Heritage India is doing. You are marketing definitely our heritage. And nowadays people talk about IKS, right? I
Indian
mean,
knowledge systems.
Indian knowledge systems. No, this is IKS. And what
Yes.
you are doing, Manjiri, and your team is spreading IKS through this medium. And I'm glad for that. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Shubhaste
Thank you.
Panthana Santu.
Thank you so much. No, we are blessed to have scholars like you with us joining this journey. And to our viewers and listeners, I'd like to just again request that we are working, our mission is to uh, create awareness and spread the knowledge through scholars about our very rich and valuable heritage. You can join us by subscribing and sharing and spreading, help spread this knowledge which is so valuable in today's world. Thank you so much.